What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And I told you that this was going to be coming. We've been talking about this for over a year, that this VSSI program, this safety inspection bullshit in the state of California was coming. I think the California Air Resource Board now, with new congressional review acts, different rules and stuff that are coming down the line from the EPA and from the president, know that the SMOG game is coming to an end. We're going to talk about all that and more right after this. Before we get back into the video, I want to thank Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. If you're into cars, you've probably already pretty good about maintenance. You change your oil, you rotate your tires, you keep up with recalls, and you fix small issues before they become expensive ones. Tell me how I know. I think online privacy is a lot like preventative maintenance on your cars, right? Most people don't realize how much personal information is floating around online, right? Until something happens, whether it's identity theft, scam calls. You ever get those, I'm calling you about your extended warranty, you get phishing attempts, or simply discovering that your home address and phone number are publicly searchable, which is kind of concerning. So Delete Me helps by finding your information on hundreds of data broker sites and people search websites, right? They submit removal requests on your behalf, saving you all kinds of time and continuing to monitor over time. So if your information shows up again, they work to remove it again. So here's my latest report. I'm going to cut to it so you can see it from Delete Me. So it's one of those things that isn't very exciting to think about, but it's something I'm glad someone else is handling for me. It saves me a ton of time and also keeps my personal information off the internet, which is huge. If you want to clean up what's out there on you, go to joindeleteme.com/TK Garage and use code TK Garage at checkout for 20% off. You can also use the QR code that you see on the screen for the entire time to get you over there as well. Now, let's get back to it. So a major shout out to our partners over at Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. We truly appreciate them. Regular sponsor, and I actually use the product. It's dope. So getting into this, right? The thing with these libtards in California is they will literally tell you that, oh, it's about the environment. We only want these smog checks and these tire rules and all this other bullshit about aftermarket parts and all this other shit because it's about the environment. They want to make sure the environment's clean. They want to make sure that there's clean air and clean water. They don't give a shit about San Diego, though, right? Wow, that's a pun, isn't it? Shit in San Diego. But you know what I'm saying. If you live in California, you know exactly what I mean. The raw sewage that comes across the border, basically from Mexico into San Diego on the beach. You can't even swim down there. Now, it's never been about the environment. It always comes down to money, power, and like putting your cronies into these bullshit jobs, right? Sometimes it's at the university, like what Gavin Newsom just did with another one of his cronies and put him in as like board of regents or some shit. And other times it's putting them in environmental positions at the California Air Resource Board. Now, because the governor is under federal investigation, California Air Resource Board's kind of like ground to a halt. They're not getting shit done because every time they move something or try to do something, the FBI shows up and goes, up, let me get that. Ha! Pop, let me get that. Let me see what you got going on here. I think eventually the governor is going to get in deep shit. I think he's probably going to get indicted before the end of his term. And or his wife, most assuredly his wife for sure. And it has to do with a bunch of that fraud. You know, one of the things I did get to see while I was in California with those BYD buses, I'm going to be honest, it was cool to see buses that didn't make any noise. They were quiet. They're electric. But when I talked to one of the bus drivers, when I flew back from when we flew back from Asia, I literally landed in LA, and we landed in San Francisco, and then I had to stop in LA. And I was in LA for, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, outside of, the normal time to be at the airport. Anyways, seeing those BYD electric buses was interesting. And talking to one of the drivers where they say that these things break all the time. I can't believe that we got these. They're constantly having to be maintained. They're constantly having to do whatever. And they didn't have any issues with their old diesel buses. I mean, you're always going to have issues. There's always going to be maintenance that needs to be done. But these BYD buses evidently are having a shit ton of problems. And this is one of those no bid contracts that Gavin Newsom gave to BYD to build these buses. And we come to find out under ethics violations that BYD gave millions of dollars to the governor. It's interesting how that works. Sounds like pay to play for me. Well, now we get into the governor fast tracking and having those agencies push to get this VSSI off the ground and to have it set up where, and I've talked to several SMOG shops already. There's a couple in California that regularly email or communicate with me. And they're telling them to get ready, that the state of California is going to launch some kind of windshield sticker bullshit program. And it's going to cost you several $100s a year to go in and get this safety inspection. What are they checking, you might ask? They're going to make sure that you have appropriate tires if that goes through. They're trying to ban performance tires, right? So if you have the wrong tires on your car, guess what? You're not going to pass. If you don't have CARB-approved brake pads, oh shit, you're not going to pass. They're going to make it so cost prohibitive for you to be able to have a car, and that's the point. They don't want you to be able to have the freedom of transportation. They don't. And they want to force you into this other EV program bullshit. Believe me, Newsom would love to get BYD cars in the state of California, for sure. But they want to force you into an electric vehicle. And most of the people in California don't want it because, fuck, your grid doesn't stay up long enough to keep the AC on in your house. Never mind charge your friggin' car. It's just another expense, and it's another fuck you to the residents of California. That's exactly what it is. Outside of the gas tax increase, sales tax increase, and every other tax increase that you've allowed, you residents in California have allowed your governor to do. It's bad, man. And I feel so bad for you guys. You do have an opportunity to fix it, though. You could put Hilton in November. You could elect Steve Hilton, and he could be a roadblock to stop a lot of this shit and use executive actions to roll back a ton of this shit. That's your only saving grace. Because if you vote for Becerra, who's probably also going to get indicted by the feds for, inappropriate use of campaign funds and all kinds of other shit, and pay for play, corruption, nothing's going to change. And in fact, it's going to get worse. You think Gavin Newsom was a bad governor. Becerra will be an abject disaster. Look. You guys do it to yourselves, man. You guys vote for this shit, and you guys put it in, and then you go, well, it sucks here. I don't know why it fucking sucks. Why is it so much? You fucking do it to yourselves, man. You got to tighten up. I don't know what to tell you. But who you vote for has consequences. On both sides. Not saying all the Republicans are great, by the way. And before you pigeonhole me into the TK must be a Republican, I'm not. I'm a registered libertarian. You can miss me with that shit. I will tell you this. It's gonna take a lot of cars off the road. If they put this VSSI program in, it's gonna be worse than SMOG. Because until the SMOG program ends, now you have to pay $100-something plus to SMOG your friggin' car, right? You're gonna have to pay hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to register your vehicle. And you're going to pay another $200 for this bullshit safety inspection. It's literally probably going to cost you between somewhere around $1,500 just to keep a car legally on the road in California. That's insane. That is effing insane. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.